Hello, welcome to the Roundhouse podcast with Paul Sulentrop of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. As always, thank you very much for listening. We appreciate your time. Our guest today is Wichita State women's basketball coach Terry Newman. He joins us to wrap up summer workouts and set the stage for the 2026-27 season, which is coming quickly. Terry's roster consists of 12 newcomers, 5 freshmen, and 7 transfers. We'll talk about that. WSU also has 2 new assistant coaches, Melanie Balcom and Rachel Swartz, with Brooke Costley remaining as assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. The Shockers play Newman in an exhibition game on October 28th. They open the season at Kansas State on November 2nd. Home opener is November 10th versus Missouri State. Terry, take us through the summer. What were the top goals?
I think the biggest goals for the summer, we had 12 new players. So obviously you want to establish a culture. You want to have a big time focus on our core values and our culture and the way that we do things, especially having, 5 of the new people being freshmen, but just teaching them the way that we do things, our culture, how things are structured around here, what practices look like, what weights and conditioning looks like, and then also try to start putting in our offensive principles.
Did you have any fun team building exercises? Did you find out who was the best ping pong player or anything entertaining like that?
So we did, we had a bunch of game nights and stuff out of my house. We also did a deal where we read the book One Word as a team. And so everybody had to come up with their one word, and we did a cool exercise in my house where everybody had their words. They had to present their words, so it was players and staff, and then each player had a puzzle piece, and so after they present their word, they got to decorate the words, and then we put it together as one big puzzle, which is in the locker room. And so each player has their individual word.
I love book projects. Tell us a little bit more about the book first.
Yeah, so it's just it just kind of talks to you about it kind of narrows your focus for it's a John Gordon book, and he wrote The Energy Bus. But a big part of it is reading and trying to have something that a word that you can kind of focus on that you will lock in on throughout the school year. And then as a team, everybody kind of has a word, so they kind of talks about the reason why they picked your word. So the book says once you read through it, they have a bunch of different exercises for you to kind of come with your word. But for most people, when you kind of go through the exercise, somehow a word just kind of comes to you. So my word this year is believe. And it's based on a scripture that came to me, that if thou can believe, all things are possible for him who believes, is one of my favorite scripture. So everybody kind of talks about why they picked their word, and so we have the big puzzle with everybody's word, and then they also have a laminated piece of the puzzle that they keep in their locker. So it's something that a daily reminder for them to kind of look at, and then as a teammate you have accountability partners also.
Who had the most interesting word choice? Anybody stand out for something that was a little off the beaten path?
I know, I'm trying to think. I know me and Kendall had the same word, which is believe, which was kind of it was kind of crazy and cool because nobody had the same things. I'm trying to think. Nobody I can think that had anything that stood out, but I thought it was just a cool exercise for everybody to kind of talk about their words. You had believe, you had faith, you had consistency, you had respect, responsibility. It was a bunch of different words. Me and Kendall were the only ones who had the same word. Also for me, we have 7 transfers, we have 5 freshmen. And when we did the exercise, we did it in my house. And so I like the fact that as each person was getting up and kind of talking about their word, my kids were there. So my daughter is 13, about to be 14. My son is 11, about to be 12, and playing sports and stuff now. So they kind of got to see why people pick their words and kind of hear a bunch of the stories that were connected to the word. So for me, that was a real cool part too.
So this sounds like a finding your why exercise. I've heard some teams around Wichita State use it at different times. Which of your players, and again, you said you had 12 newcomers, the whole roster is new, who stepped up to be a leader over the summer?
I would say, just off the top of my head, I would say Ma'Riya Vincent did a great job of leadership vocally and through her actions, just think just from her she came from Missouri, which is my nemesis from when I was in college. But there's not a lot I say about people that went to Missouri a lot of times. But
so you banned that shade of black and black and yellow or black and gold. Right, I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, she's just intense. It's best when you want. In ideal worlds, you hope that your best leaders is also like your top players, and so for her, being one of our top kids, and she's one of our hardest workers. She's in the gym all the time. She's go 100% in every single drill. But she's also just she's just a great connector. Like, she connects with every single person on the team, and she has a unique way of being able to get on people and challenge people and push people without them taking it in a personal way. And I think that's just because of her being able to connect with people off the court. So Ma'Riya Vincent, I would say, did a great job in leadership. I would also point to Mari Milton, who's a freshman, who, surprising just with her work ethic and conditioning and just kind of like leads by example, always do the right things, works hard, and she has the respect of her teammates from a talent standpoint and from her work. Like, it was a lot of days, like it was stretches where we didn't, we were point guards are hurt and she was the only one and didn't get a lot of subs and so stuff like that, I think you can gain respect from your teammates just from your work ethic and not looking for easy ways out or trying to take the easier route. And so I would say her, and then Lex Leva, another freshman who's vocal and loud and a perfectionist in her own right, and just always does the right things and always go be in the right spots and always is not afraid to like say the tough things. So I would say those three. Lily Ba, I would say, will be another one who transferred in. That's a Kansas City area kid that just does her work every day, positive attitude. But I think as a group we have like great just kind of like team leadership. Like, they just do the right things. They have great team chemistry. They get along. We don't have a lot of selfishness within the group. I think people kind of understand their strengths and weaknesses and like what they bring to the table, and there's nobody trying to step on each other's toes, which is something that was great from the summer.
5 freshmen is a lot in college basketball these days.
Yeah.
Why did you go that route when building your roster?
Honestly, I wasn't even with our level, I think you have so many kids like in my sport, like that. A lot of players, like, their dream is to play at the Power 4 level, and I understand it. I played there, I coached there, and I get it. And so for us, I don't think we necessarily take the approach of we just need this many high school, this many JUCOs, this many transfers. We just kind of look at the people individually and what their character traits are and what their basketball skills are and how can they fit into our chemistry, our values, and if they fit those things, that's just kind of like what we go with. So it wasn't we didn't really go out and plan that we would go have a bunch of freshmen. I think it's helped a lot because we have a lot of. This past year we had 10 or 11 seniors, but I think this year just with a lot more diversity, like within the roster, I think just having those 5 freshmen just give you like that youthful like jubilance and everything for them. These are the first times they're doing stuff and they're so happy to be here, and so I think it's good just to have like a great balance. But for us, you have to be able to play, and we wanted to bring in people that could play and really wanted to be at Wichita State.
2 new assistant coaches, as I said earlier. Melanie Balcom comes with a long resume. Head coach at Xavier, head coach at Vanderbilt, won an NCAA title as an assistant coach under Donna Staley at South Carolina.
Yep.
Describe her role on the staff.
She's associate head coach. I really wanted to make sure that I had somebody that when we made some adjustments to the staff, wanted to have just a person with head coaching experience. And Melanie Balcom, I coached at Alabama, so I was able to, as assistant coach, so going against her during my times in the SEC, I was always just like a fan of hers, of the way her teams play and how hard they played and unselfish, and especially, just offensively, how good they always were. And, as an assistant coach, Vanderbilt was my scout. And so I really got to do just deep dives into how they played and the way they played. And so I was just like a fan from afar. And once we made changes, I had a close mentor of mine who's in the business who was close with her, who, just gave me her information and asked if she would be interested in getting back in. And our first time we spoke, we were on the phone for like 2.5 hours, and it was just basketball and adjustments and programs and, what I was looking for, what things she brings to the table. And so I think just having somebody with so much experience as a head coach and as one at the levels that she's won at, I think those are like really the biggest keys. And so she will primarily be, running our offense, but she's not an offensive coach by no means. Like, she's a head coach who just runs the offense. And so just somebody who I can always bounce ideas off of, and she, come by, she can tell, she's been through all the things that I'm going through. And so, just having a person as an ear who's kind of, who's been in this chair and understands the pressures and the all of the things that goes into being a head coach was a big reason why I brought her in.
And I had her on the podcast a few weeks ago. Her description of the offense is interesting. She was influenced by Pete Carrill and Princeton, which I guess people would think of backdoor cuts and those kind of things, maybe 4 or 5 out. But then she also coached she was an assistant at Providence, so I think she picked Rick Pitino's brain and used some of the things that he does. How do you describe the offense? What are fans going to see when they come out?
No, I would say exactly what she said. I mean, but I would even say with her, like, she has like those things at a base, but I think what I liked about her and what kind of meshes and fits into, how I look at the game and how I coach, and the way I think of it is she can coach any type of style. She can morph a system into, like, she doesn't just have like a set system and you go run the system no matter what the players are. Like, there's gonna be times where we gotta, tweak how we would, how we would play at our base, and so her mind just works that way. Like, she has a million different ideas of, things that we can do and how we can play. And so, but I would say yes, a bunch of like Princeton concepts with with Patino's style, fast break and transition, because we still want to try to score in transition as much as we can. But then if we don't get what we want in transition, then it's about, getting the ball moving from side to side and having reads and not really having a million play calls, but teaching the kids like how to play basketball.
Then Rachel Schwartz played at Missouri State from 2013 to 17 and has been an assistant coach in college basketball before coming to Wichita State.
When I first talked to her, I think the biggest thing was just the type of energy that she had. She works with post players, which that's harder to find these days, is people that can work with post players, because it was one stretch where I thought I was going to have to go back and be the post coach again based on the different people that I talked to for the position. But just wanted to be here, was obsessed with Wichita and the staff and what we were building and the opportunity to come here, and just her connections with internationally, and she's recruited a lot there, and a bunch of West Coast connections that she has. But then playing in Missouri State, she understands Wichita State, and she played in Missouri Valley, and she's played here in Coke Arena a bunch of different times. And so when she was competing at Missouri State was during the highlight of when the Shockers were some of our best years as a women's program. So she's also seen it at its height, and so I think she'll be a huge asset, like just being able to connect with our young ladies, and like I said, especially the post players, and she has them in her office all the time. So she has some motherly qualities about her too, her and Melanie.
So you start the summer, 12 new players, so a clean slate. Were there any surprises? What was the biggest, maybe pleasant development you encountered?
I would say the biggest thing for me is how quickly they gelled as a group, and kind of start to, kind of fell into their roles. I think one of the challenges these days is to try to get, players to, and I get it, like you work on your game and you want to get better at things that you're not good at. But I think the players that we have now are really kind of locking into, they understand what they do best and trying to bring those unique talents into like what we do as a group. And so Our camaraderie as a group, I think, is excellent. The way they get along on and off the court is great. We have a real unselfish group, but I would say the biggest thing is how quickly they were able to gel together.
So you talked a little bit about Ma'Riya Vincent. She's a 6-foot guard, played at Missouri.
Yes.
Describe her talents. What role is she going to play on this team?
She is she can just she does everything. Like, there's gonna be games you'll come out and watch us, and she'll be playing a point guard, and then there'll be games you'll watch her and she's playing center and post. And so, just her versatility in her game. She can play outside, she can play inside, she can handle the ball, she can shoot, she can drive it. She's a lockdown defender. She's strong, she's tough, and just has like a different kind of edge and a different kind of chip on her shoulder. And she knew, and we tease her about it now. Coming out of high school, we recruited her our first summer here, and we really established a great relationship with her and her mom and her family. And so we thought we had her. We thought she was about to commit when she was at my house for dinner, and they just wanted to go home and kind of make sure everything was right, and she would be able to get her car here. It was a bunch of stuff but we thought we thought we had her, and then a couple of days later, she wanted us all to get on FaceTime, and Missouri had came in out of nowhere. But when we don't get the kids we want, we always make sure we handle things the right way. I think that's another part of recruiting. Like, is you go get told no a bunch of different times, and the way you handle that could affect things in the future, and so. We kept things, great with her, and we played against Missouri in Destin a couple years ago, and we got to see her on the beach. And as a staff, we were also happy just to be able to see her because she had got hurt that year. She hurt her knee that year, and so she couldn't play. And but just make sure we kept a good, positive deal going on with her. And so when she decided to leave Missouri, she went in the portal, and we were like the first people that they reached out to, just because like her mom just remembered how we was in the process, and the fact that we weren't bitter, and she remembered us, how we reacted towards us when we seen her in Destin. And we weren't even recruiting her. It was just when we recruit kids, we get close to them, and you got a great relationship with people. So naturally, you're gonna be a little sad when you lose kids you want. But but I think with the way we handled the situation when we didn't get her is why we have her now. But she can play every position on the floor, and she's just gonna be a mismatch nightmare for other teams to be able to guard her.
And you also mentioned freshman guard Mari Milton. Yeah. She is from Fort Worth.
Yes.
Why has she adapted to college basketball so well?
I just, she just has she has a maturity about her that you don't really see in freshmen. Just kind of like a even keel nature. She never gets too high and too low. Like, you can be watching her play, you can't tell if she has 20 points or if she has 0. And so just has like a quiet demeanor about her. She has a quiet confidence that I don't think you can teach. I think it's something that she's just had from growing up and having good parents who kind of poured into her throughout her life. And she had to play with a real great high school program and coach and coaching staff down at North Crowley. But just her confidence and her speed, and she changes speeds, and her athleticism, and players just want to play for her. And I think they kind of get energy from her being even keel. I think it kind of helps us keep the team even keel.
Okay, you've given people a picture into the backcourt. Tell us about the front court. How does that look? We
look good. So we have like our 3 centers, Lily Bye. We have 2 Lilies, Lily Bye, Liliana Harrison from Delaware State, and then Clara Koulibaly, who came from Auburn. But I think what they provide for us is in our league and the way the game is now, you got to be able to have some versatility. So between Clara and Lily Bye, they're 5s who can guard 5s, who can play in the paint. But if you leave them wide open, they can also knock down some wide open 3s from time to time. And so for Coach Mel really loves it just because it helps her offense a lot, but it kind of provides space. But they all kind of play a little bit different. I would say Liliana Harrison is just a probably the best back to the basket scorer of the 3. I would say Lily Ba is probably the better shooter and kind of the more versatile of the three. And then just with Clara Koulibaly, just with her SEC experience and athleticism and running the floor and rebounding in transition and her physicality, just as you look at her, like those are the kind of bodies that you're going to need for the American Conference.
What's the fall schedule look like as the kids, we started classes this week at Wichita State. They're back on campus. When do you start getting back and practice? You're already practicing, I think, yes?
We started yesterday, and so right now as we kind of ease into it, we're going, because we're in the 8 hours a week part of the schedule for the first, I think, we're 8 hours a week until September 20th, and then that's when our 20 hours, like the normal kind of practice regimen starts. So we've broken it down where we go on the court 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then they will be doing strength and conditioning with Coach Jasmine 4 days out the week. So that'll be like, I think it's like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday or something like that. And so kind of combining court work with strength and conditioning stuff on the court. The week before our 20 hours a week, we'll have like a 5-day early morning boot camp, just a bunch of defensive and toughness drills, just kind of set the stage as we move into the season. We're also going to do a fall reading. A book is called 7 Commitments of a Great Team, which is another John Gordon book that we will start week 3 of our workouts. And so it's 7 different commitments that we'll kind of break down, and we'll meet each week to kind of talk about things. And each person on our staff will have different parts that they're going to like present and kind of lead like discussions and activities with the team on.
Basketball season pauses, but it doesn't ever really stop. The Shockers they're in practices. They get started against Newman in an exhibition game on October 28th at Koch Arena.
Yep.
Season opens November 2nd at Kansas State, and the home opener is November 10th versus Missouri State. Terry Nooner, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. Go Shocks.
Thank you for listening to the Roundhouse podcast, courtesy of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. We encourage you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find more Roundhouse content at GoShockers.com.
She's just one of those players who could be a game changer, though. With one swing of the bat, she can send it over the fence. We've seen her do it time and time again. Is she due? With a 585 slugging percentage, 9 home runs on the season. We'll see what they decide.
Swinging away in a drive to center. Are you kidding? Another walk-off. It is! Ball game. Wichita State wins. Two walk-off home runs today. Bailey Lang in the first game, and Lori Derrico here. And Wichita State has knocked off Central Florida 5-4.